Alright, let's get right down to the blueprint of things. Contrary to what the women have told you, size doesn't matter. Alright, imagine this. While using guidelines to keep that stick figure's height consistent is like giving it the reliable growth chart, but for animations. Picture the stick figure as your little animated buddy. If you keep changing its height every few frames, it's gonna feel like it's hitting a growth spurt 1 second and then shrinking the next. Talk about confusing puberty. Unlike me, stick figure heights may be hard to keep constant while animating, so what we do is we use guidelines to separate the torso from the rest of the body. But how exactly do you get these invisible lines? We'll look to the top right of your screen and click on More Options. Scroll down a bit until you see the Guidelines option and turn it on. After that, you should see these lines pop up, and no, they will not appear while you're exporting your animations. Arcs. Not those type of arcs, kiddo. Calm down. This is what I'm talking about. But what exactly are they? Arcs in animation are essential for creating natural and fluid movement. When animators design motion, they aim to mimic the real-world dynamics of objects and characters. In reality, most movements do not occur in straight lines, but rather follow curved paths or arcs. Take this example for a second. Can you spot the arcs? It's pretty easy, honestly. Can you see these little curves? Those are also arcs. In summary, arcs are crucial for adding realism and fluidity to animation. They ensure that movements are not stiff or robotic, but instead have a natural flowing quality. By incorporating arcs, animators can bring characters and objects to life, making the animation more engaging and enjoyable for the audience. Now, everyone keeps asking for a specific tutorial on this, but you know why I won't make one? Because I can't fight. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if you one-on-one me, I am taking your soul. But you see this? Yeah, I can't do that, and neither can you. And having that knowledge, why would you still try to come up with this choreography stuff yourself? I mean, you could, but you wouldn't get very far, and the style might look scuffed. That being the case, grab some popcorn and watch fighting videos, or actual martial art videos, or even sport events for inspiration. You can slow it down to see the motion frame by frame and recreate that in StickNodes. Adapt real-world movements into stylized animations that suit your character, and don't forget to seek feedback to see where it works best. Remember, practice makes perfect here. The subscribe button also works perfectly, in case you haven't noticed. Now, I know there's bound to be some keyboard warriors out there talking about it's tracing, it's unoriginal, and to y'all I say, shut up. It's not tracing, it's not copying, it's not art theft. It's called referencing. And now, the real secret that these greedy animators don't tell you about is keyframes. Okay, they've told you about this, but have they really told you about it? Take a look at this animation. It has only keyframes. It has no easing whatsoever, and it still looks good. This is the real power of keyframes. But what are keyframes? Well, as a refresher, we're going to look at one of my previous videos to give you guys a general idea of what exactly it is. With keyframes, think of them as the main checkpoints in your animation journey. It's like building the skeleton before fleshing out the details. Start by identifying the key moments in your fight sequence. These are the anchor points, the milestones that define the narrative. It could be a starting pose to a powerful punch or a dodging maneuver. You get the idea. Don't worry about details just yet. Focus on capturing. If you want a deeper understanding of this, the link to this particular video is in the description below. You should go give it a watch. The best way to create keyframes is figuring out which point you want the viewers to see, the point you want the viewers to pay most attention to, while ignoring the rest. After you've created the sequence and it looks good at a decent FPS, then you go back and fill in the spaces in between. This is the true power of keyframing, not those basic bouncing ball concept that everyone else is talking about. In animation, the concept of double frames or holding frames refers to a technique used to slow down the action within a scene by extending the duration of specific frames. This technique involves duplicating certain frames or joint repeated frames to create a sense of slower movement or emphasis on a certain action or pose. Here's how double frames are typically used to achieve this effect. When animating a scene, particularly for slow motion, animators use double frames to extend the duration of key poses or actions. By duplicating frames, the movement appears to be slower, allowing the viewers to observe the details more clearly. In fast-paced animations, the stick figure has sudden movements that can appear jarring or abrupt. Double frames help in creating smoother transitions between poses or actions by introducing additional frames that bridge the gap between these movements. Animators often use double frames to accentuate important poses or expressions by holding certain frames for a longer duration. Viewers can focus on the details of those specific poses, gestures, or facial expressions. Double frames are also used to fine-tune animation. By adding or removing frames selectively, animators can adjust the overall timing and the scene to achieve the desired pacing and rhythm. In action sequences or scenes involving physical interactions, double frames can be used to convey weight, impact, or dynamics of movements. Slowing down specific actions can enhance the sense of impact and realism.